What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. We got some news about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Again, the Best of the Super Juniors tournament is still ongoing. And I did mention the other day that I will be reviewing the tournament, the full tournament, or my thoughts on the full tournament after the finals or on the day of the finals as we head into that between there and Dominion. But there are some news items that are coming up. Also, not just with the tournament, but outside of the tournament with wrestlers, the heavyweights who are not currently participating in BOSJ. But as far as BOSJ is concerned, for those of you who don't know, Francesco Akira, who is half of Catch 22, member of loosely Will Ospreay's United Empire faction in New Japan, one of the guys that stayed there, he was injured. And the injury happened legitimately during his matches in Best of the Super Juniors. He won the match against Taiji Ishimori, and then he had an injury. And they exacerbated injury with his match with Drilla Maloney from the Bullet Club War Dogs, and that basically knocked Akira out of the tournament. Now, as of right now, they've been monitoring him and said that the injury is actually worse than what they thought it was, so that's why they pulled him from the tournament. It's not known right now whether Akira is going to be back in action by the end of the summer, but I do think for, unfortunately for him, for guys like that, not working means you're not getting paid, but he should be good, hopefully, later this year. Akira, he's got this interesting story with the Bullet Club War Dogs. It's been going on pretty much since January. And this is kayfabe and shoot kind of merging together because the fact that his last match was against Drilla Maloney, even though Drilla didn't cause the injury, it feeds into that storyline a little bit more of them constantly bullying Akira and Akira being afraid of them. So how that's going to manifest, we'll have to see come later on this year. Some older stars, one of those current stars that are still in New Japan, Tetsuya Naito, he of course has got this big match coming up with Jake Lee at All Together. And All Together, to explain that, it is promoted by Japanese Pro Wrestling Federation. So that's kind of what I mentioned earlier, these Japanese promotions coming together and doing some cross-promotional events. There's been a lot of cross-promotional stuff with Jake Lee and Naito, and his feud has been going on for a couple of months now. Naito throwing a little shade at David Finlay because Naito first said that he thought that the match should be in a New Japan show, which there is a New Japan show that's going to happen the day after this AT show on June the 16th. But Naito says, I don't think it should have been there. I think it should have been on a New Japan show. I don't think it should be at this All Together show. And he says that the whole idea came about because Jake Lee got the 3 count. I believe it was a 3 count, or he defeated Naito in one of those multi-man tag matches. Therefore, they could set the match at All Together. And Naito's like, well, that was David Finlay's idea, so now Naito's throwing shade at David Finlay. Like, does David Finlay have influence over? I don't think so. But it even says in the article that Naito's throwing his suspicions at the Federation, whether or not Bullet Club War Dogs is influencing it or not. It could be a Gato thing. That's the person I'd be throwing my suspicions at. But this does talk about how big a summer this is going to be for New Japan and Japanese wrestling and pro wrestling. This new alliance that they have, these cross-promotional matches are becoming more and more frequent. And there's a lot of, I'm seeing from reading a lot of the Japanese wrestling fans post in the translations, which sometimes are hard to read because the translations are not 100%, but it does seem like some Japanese fans are a little concerned about, like, New Japan, in particular the New Japan fans, about New Japan losing focus on itself and it's stretching too thin to be part of this alliance, to be part of AEW. Meanwhile, they're still having a hard time getting their young athletes up. Now, I will say, Yota Tsuji, Gabe Kidd in particular, they're coming along nicely. I think Shota Umino and Ren Narita, the jury's still out on them. You're more of the same thing. But we're at that point now where some of these guys are going to have to step up, especially now with the G1 coming up. Some of these guys really going to have to step up. And that's where I think we're going to see some outstanding performances. Last year's G1, they were all just fresh off the boat, so to speak, in the G1. And we saw some excellent performances out of them in that A block last year, despite the fact that they were in there with Sonata and Chase Owens. But those young guys going up against each other provided some really great matches. And, even Kiyomiya, who's kind of dithering back and forth between all the companies too. Him and Gabe Kidd have their rivalry going on, and Gabe Kidd's going to be challenging him for the championship. And that's a whole cross-promotional thing that's going on. So there's a lot going on in Japanese wrestling in general, but New Japan feels like it's kind of giving up that hub of being the promotion, and they're just kind of joining everybody else. Who knows how far that's going to go, if that's going to be even more of a detriment to the company, or maybe it will help the company. Maybe they'll get some new stars in, some new established stars in. There's a lot of rumors still about Nakajima. Nobody knows what's going on with that. So back over here in the East, we got some other issues going on with more people, contract statuses, people coming and going. This past week on NXT, we saw Jordan Grace make another appearance in WWE, which that wasn't as surprising as All Ego Ethan Page, probably most known now for being his time in AEW and Ring of Honor, making a surprise appearance on NXT. But what's even more surprising is the fact that afterwards he is claiming on social media that he's not signed with any company. So that's putting up in the air whether that's kayfabe or he actually isn't signed with NXT or WWE. I don't know. It keeps the interest with him. Ethan Page never really caught on in AEW, and he was a guy that was like he should catch on, but he didn't catch on. And they tried different things with him. They tried putting him down on Ring of Honor. He seemed very dedicated to the company, but it just didn't work out there with him. So hopefully in NXT, they can find somewhere where All Ego Ethan Page, because he's a talented guy. Sometimes you fit one place and you don't fit another one. So hopefully he fits over in NXT. We also had some information as far as people who used to be in WWE and aren't in AEW, but are traveling the circuits. They're in TNA, they're in New Japan, and that's good old Nic Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, who actually went into some minor details about what actually happened with him leaving WWE.
I said, I only have a few years where I have this window to be healthy and where it matters extra to like be in the ring with someone and have like a special match or a special just like career after WWE. So I said, I'm out of here unless you guys got a bunch of money. And They gave me a bunch of money. So a year in, I'm checking, I'm watching Japanese wrestling, I'm watching TNA, I'm watching AEW, I'm watching everything. And I get to a point where I go, hey, now I'm not even coming in, like getting an entrance. I'm not even tagging with Bob Roode. I'm not even like making something. It's not even fun when someone pins me. A 20-page email. This is the greatest job in the world. And then I aired out some dirty laundry about how I was mad, and just in the last couple paragraphs, but the rest was very, very positive. And I said, please, you have me in a position of what a local can do. Pay him and don't pay me millions of dollars to do it. Let me go. And then 2 weeks later, I was on the release list. So
that's terrific, though, that it worked out the way it did.
So essentially, the gist of it is that he had been asking to be released for a while. They kept paying him a lot of money, apparently. And, you know, if somebody's going to pay you money to stay home, you're going to stay home. And I remember at the time when people were speculating whether or not Dolph Ziggler was going to leave WWE. And I think he missed the prime time for him to do that, which was probably 5 or 6 years ago. Putting him in with a Kenny Omega at that point in time, putting him in with a lot of Will Ospreay at that time, putting him in with, not that it wouldn't be good now, but I think that's when a lot of people were looking at guys in WWE when the other promotions were starting to get more popular and going, well, who in WWE probably would benefit from leaving WWE and going elsewhere? And Dolph Ziggler was on that list for a lot of people. He is now in the circuit. He wrestles in Mexico and Japan and in TNA. And I don't know, at some point in time, I do expect he probably will make some sort of appearance in AEW, who knows. But as of right now, Nic Nemeth, given the fact that he said even himself, he's like, you can only stay home but so long, you know, before you want to do some other things. This is probably the last time he's going to be able to do it. And I like the fact that he did choose to bet on himself, as the phrase goes nowadays. I just kind of wish he had done it a couple years ago, but money is a powerful motivator. But that's a lot of the news today in the world of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. I want to know what you guys think of these stories. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. We will be doing a look at AEW Dynamite and some other news and rumors going around. And of course, yes, I do have the Best of the Super Juniors review coming up pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell, and I'll see you here as we continue to talk about the crazy, wacky world of pro wrestling and sports entertainment right here on the Rant Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.